About this. This is the breaking lead story, or at least one of them today on this Friday. Thank you for being with us. Let's get out of New York for now. Want to take it out to Minneapolis. We're going to be speaking with Fox 9's Paul Bloom. He has the latest on the jury selection in the Derek Chauvin trial and a huge settlement the city reached of Minneapolis with George Floyd's family. He's here to tell us all about that. Paul, thanks for being with us once again. Let's start with that settlement. A massive dollar amount to George Floyd's family being paid out by the city of Minneapolis. Can you kind of give us some details how that was reached and how it was announced today?
Yeah, Andrew, good evening to you and our viewers. Tonight from Minneapolis, the convention center where George Floyd's family, their civil attorneys led by Ben Crump, the civil rights attorney based in Florida, and then city leaders, the mayor and top officials on our city council. Basically, it was kind of a stunner to us today. I've got to be honest, I've been the reporter at the courthouse just a few blocks away from here covering jury selection in the Derek Chauvin murder trial. This morning, the Floyd family civil rights team announced they'd have a 1 o'clock news conference today at the convention center. So we just thought they were here in town to talk about the criminal trial. But then all of a sudden a change in the city council agenda said they were going behind closed doors. There was a Friday morning meeting. They met behind closed doors, figuratively, meetings being done here via Zoom virtually. They closed off their discussions to the public, as they're allowed to do when they talk civil settlements, city settlements. And they came out and announced a $27 million, just a massive amount, a record-breaking settlement for this city and really one across the country. We had a $20 million settlement a couple years ago in the death of an Australian-American shot to death by a Minneapolis police officer. That was for $20 million, this one for $27 million. So the city council unanimously passed the measure. And then city leaders came down here to the convention center with the Floyd family, the loved ones, and the attorneys and made the announcement. We understand, obviously, we knew there was federal civil litigation ongoing. The family had filed the lawsuit shortly after the deadly arrest of George Floyd, but it kind of got quiet, and we all sort of assumed locally that it would wait until the conclusion of the criminal trial. But then this stunning announcement Friday, literally, Andrew, right when we're smack dab in jury deliberation. In fact, as we hit the weekend, the court sat at 7th of 14 jurors. So we literally are right in the middle of jury selection, and here they go, making this major announcement just a few blocks away.
You know, Paul, with that announcement, with the settlement, and you just said they've only seated 7 of 14 jurors, are the defense and the prosecutors concerned that a settlement like this could influence any possible, jury members going forward? That's what a lot of people are talking about right now, in case this is, some undue, untoward influence on possible jurors.
Sure. Now, we did not hear from the court specifically. They finished up jury selection questioning in the afternoon. They had a couple of hours after lunch after word of this broke. So they didn't address it today. Does it come up on Monday? Question mark. I can just tell you, talking to legal analysts here in Minneapolis, they are absolutely stunned, floored that the city would make this announcement right in the middle. So first you have the 7 jurors that are seated. Now, they've been told, not to, consume any media, not to watch the news, not to read the newspaper. And people can do that sort of proactively, but it's sort of in the background. It's going to be hard to miss in the coming days, the headlines, just the buzz around town of this $27 million settlement. Clearly, it speaks to what the city of Minneapolis believes happened at 38th and Chicago during George Floyd's deadly arrest. And you do have to wonder, because they are still looking for 7 more. Those jurors, again, have been told to stay away, these prospective jurors, from the media until they go through this jury selection process. But again, I just think in a community this size, with this story everywhere to begin with, to have that settlement dropped on top and just the eye-popping number there, it will be hard to keep people shielded from that.
And Paul, also, let's talk about the demographic makeup of the jurors already selected. That's been on the minds of many people there across the country and in Minneapolis. What's the breakdown there? Can you give us some sense?
I sure can, Andrew. Great question. Obviously, talking about an unarmed black man being pinned knee underneath the knee, the back and neck. Derek Chauvin, a white police officer, for some 9 minutes. So a lot of people are paying attention to the racial component. So 7 are seated. I can tell you 5 men and 2 women. The races have been described. Now, we aren't allowed on the cameras within the courtroom to show the face of the jurors, but the court has described 4 whites, 1 black, 1 Hispanic, and 1 multiracial woman. So there is some diversity there. The community, specifically the African-American community and those fighting for social justice, have been very concerned to make sure this Hennepin County jury, where Minneapolis sits, is racially diverse and balanced. I haven't gotten responses yet today as we hit the weekend. Again, 4 whites and then 3 people you describe of color. But that's where we sit right now. And of course, there is 7 more jurors this court will be looking for in the coming days. Opening statements, I should say, currently scheduled for March 29th. And being that we're halfway through finding that jury, we certainly think that we could get to opening statements on that now scheduled date of March 29th.
All right, Fox 9's Paul Bloom there, live for us in Minneapolis with the latest on this story. Paul, I'm sure we'll talk to you again. Thanks for breaking all that down for us.
You got it. Thank you.
And like I said, we'll be following that story. As Paul said, opening arguments in the trial begin March 29th, and we'll bring that to you live here on NewsNOW from Fox. Anyway, let's take a quick commercial break. We've got a lot more left to get to on this Friday night, but thanks for being with us. We'll see you